Okay, once again, I'm going to do the... okay, once again, I'm going to do the thing I do where I try and get the links out. Ugh. Okay, I'll do a quick update in the, 7, 6, 13 days since the last one. I've gotten better. Kind of. I've kind of gotten better. So, um, uh, let me just get the links out here. The thing I do, the links. Oh crap! No. Don't you hate when you're like just on your keyboard and you randomly hit this button called floating, and then, like your keyboard is a weird square that you move around the screen. It's so tiny you can't even type anything, and you're just screaming like, "How did this happen?" And you're like desperately pushing buttons or like random buttons on your keyboard until it just goes back to normal. That happens to me a lot. Just took a sip of days old water. Okay. Type in no more cheese dip. I don't have the YouTube app on my phone. I deleted it. So oh crap! I need to change the thumbnail here. Edit thumbnail. This is the thumbnail from the last one. Which folder would it be in? It would be in like debut, right? I don't know where this folder called debut came from. It was just like, I need a folder. I don't want to make one. I'm lazy. This will this will have to do. And once again, we are return. Oh, let me get the links out before I continue. Okay. Come on, get the. I'll rename this one too. I'm at it before I get these links out. Okay. Yeah. April 7th, the David Coverdale impression episode. Oh crap, I just downloaded like the YouTube no thumbnail picture. It's a WebP format! No, I don't know how WebP works! Now I'm... okay, oh, I'm sleepy. Oh, man, I got all this work to do. I promised a friend I'd help him with something, and I promised a friend I'd help him with something, and I gotta do it. It's gonna take me hours. In fact, this will probably... I told him I'd work vigilantly on it, I told him work vigilantly on it while, today, while he's busy at work, and, I work vigilantly on it for him, and, I've done some of the hardest parts of it, but I'm only like I'm not even 10% done. This is he knows this will be a thing that will take me he's knows this will be a thing that will probably take me multiple days. So I'm not too worried. So I'm not too worried about this. If I seem quieter today, it's because I'm tired and I'm trying not to agitate my cough. My cough is still it's still a bad thing. I mean, like, when is it not a bad thing? I mean, like, I still have a cough is the issue. I should have no cough, and yet I have one. So I recently started by the time like anybody even gets to this, which is gonna be like God knows how long from now, Moon Knight will have already like ended and people will already know if it sucks or not. But I started it. As of now, as of doing this, only 2 episodes are only 2 episodes are out right now. In fact, the second one just came out yesterday. So they got like the split personality. I know a little bit. I used to own. My dad gave me like a copy of Moon Knight #1, which unfortunately I don't even know where it is now. But I really liked it. So, and I read it a little bit. I read it like a few times. It's probably gone forever if I'm being honest. So, anyways. Oh, it's like the third time I've yawned. I'm tired. Where's my sip? Hold on a sec. Seeing as this is like hold on a second. It's like the most half-effort, lazy one of these yet. And like the first one I tried to frame it as like, hey, potentially this is like imagine listening to radio or something, and I'm just randomly telling you crap. Well, no. This episode of Picture That Exhibition is just me talking. I mean, all of them are just me talking, but like this one is especially just like lazy. One of those lazy way tutorial videos by a YouTuber I used to watch whose name I don't remember, and then whose content I don't remember. I just remember thinking like how to do so and so the lazy way. Actually, yeah. Okay, no, I'm using like the YouTube tab to. Yeah, I reached a point where where I'm not even like gushing over the album artworks anymore. I'm just talking. It's just like, oh yeah, pull random Roger Dean wallpaper up off my computer and put it on screen. Like that Aura, the brown one that I got too lazy to switch out the thumbnail for, so it just became the automatic thumbnail for like all my live streams when I was putting on daily content. That's one of my like all-time favorite Roger Dean paintings. It's just like ungodly beautiful, just like holy. Just like that's just amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna try not to yawn. Like I gotta yawn. My body just wants to yawn, and I'm not letting it. So man, I said I wouldn't let Okay, yeah, that's like one of my favorite Roger Dean album arts. I really love it, and I don't think I talked about it enough. Like going back through it. Yeah, I go back and rewatch these because I'm bored, and like sometimes I'll just be doing something like I need audio, and I don't know what music to listen to because I have like 20,000 options right at my fingertips. But well, so this one is Astra, which was an album by Asia. And it's a good album by Asia. It's the first without Steve Howe. And it was the only one to feature Mandy Meyer, and it was the last before they broke up. A lot of people don't know this. Asia broke up. I mean, like kind of like they reformed immediately, like the year after they broke up, which was 1985. With the new lineup in 1986. That was made for the purpose of like trying to get them a new record deal, and it was made for the purpose of trying to get them a new record deal. Only a Japanese label wanted to take them, which They're like, oh, no, we don't want a Japanese label exclusively. We want like an American label or something, like a label with good distribution and reputation. And, like a small, like a not too terribly huge Japanese label was like the fate that befell Quiet Riot, and how that went. Most people haven't heard of their. Most people haven't heard the Randy Rhoads era Quiet Riot stuff because of I guess from a lot of it. Most people haven't heard the Randy Rhoads era Quiet Riot stuff because it was like released only on like a small Japanese label. It's really good stuff though. It's underrated. It's not like heavy metal. It's more like kind of like it's kind of like power. The first album is kind of like power pop. Think of it like a heavy metal version of Cheap Trick. It's really good stuff. So yeah, it's so they broke up until 1990 when they decided when everybody except Steve Howe decided, hey, let's get the band back together. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. They had I think Mandy Meyer came back for a little bit. No wait, crap. Mandy Meyer came back to like do guitar on one track on a compilation album with like half new songs, half old ones. And then John Wetton was disappointed that like the album sold like 500,000 copies worldwide, but he was disappointed in the album sold like, not half that, sold 500,000 in America. The album sold like 1 million worldwide, or like not necessarily a million, but like 900,000 to 1 million, between there somewhere. And that was like pretty impressive for like a band that many people had like bragged ran its course. But the album was coming down pretty nice, but John Wetton left, but John Wetton had left, and that seemed like the end of it until they got new member John Payne, who would cause after that Carl Palmer had to decide to leave because him and like the other Emerson, Lake and Palmer guys got an offer to do Emerson, Lake and Palmer reunion to soundtrack a film, which the film didn't end up happening, but the reunion still did. The guy making the film was like, guys, this is like actual like really good Emerson, Lake and Palmer music. I'd feel bad just wasting this in a movie. You guys need to make like an all new studio album, and it's an underrated album. I really like it. Black Moon, and Steve Howe left Yes after like the main factor in why Steve Howe didn't come back when they reunited was because the main reason, the factor behind Steve Howe not coming back when they reunited was actually because he was in the middle of a Yes reunion. Yes had did like this big reunion with like the 90125 lineup. Sans John Anderson had teamed up with John Anderson's Yes sounding project, Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, and they did this. And they did this album together, and then after the reunion, which a lot of people did not want to do, and like John Anderson replaced and the producer Joel Elias or whatever his name was, doing dubbing over like Rick Wakeman and Steve Howe's stuff a lot with the session musicians, which is really frowned upon by the fans. But Steve Howe left Yes over he left Yes over this, and the fact that a guy wanted to sign Yes to a label, wanted to sign this Yes lineup to the 90125 Yes lineup to his label. The 90125 lineup is the lineup that made Owner of a Lonely Heart. So, famous lineup. And it was, the album they did was really good, and it's in my problem, perhaps, like, I don't know if it's in my top 10, but it's like, it's a top 20 favorite album for sure. I just love it. It's called Talk. It's really good. There's lots of great stuff on there. But anyways, the point is that the fact that Steve Howe was not in the 90125 lineup, and was forced to basically just forced to leave. He wanted to leave because he wasn't happy with the current situation, and even if the current situation had persisted, he would have left. Even if the current situation would have persisted, he would have left anyways. And regardless, they didn't want him because the 901 the band offered the 90125 lineup was offered a new shot at a record deal, and yeah, Steve Howe didn't even play on the whole album though, because the band had already hired Al Petrelli, who had just left Alice Cooper's touring band, touring in support of Feed My Frankenstein. Not Feed My Frankenstein. Hey Stupid, which was the album that had Feed My Frankenstein on it. They were touring in support of that, and Al Petrelli was a member of that band who was because Alice didn't have like a set guitarist or anything making that album. So Al Petrelli was like the guitarist on tour, and then he left. I found it fun. I was looking up on like, Al Petrelli's website, learn guitar with Al Petrelli online, book lessons now, and go, that's cool. But then it says and it lists like bands he was in and groups he was in, and it says Alice Cooper, despite the fact he was in Alice Cooper's touring band for a year. And he nowhere did it mention Asia, despite the fact that he had been a member of Asia for, I think, like 4 or 5 years, which is a much more significant amount of time than just the 1 year he spent in Alice Cooper's touring band. He didn't even play on a single Alice Cooper album, and yet he played on 2 Asia albums. Granted, they weren't like the famous 2 albums people seem to care about, but all this and I'm talking, and I'm like, okay. And so anyways, yeah. So they already had Al Petrelli playing guitar and some stuff. So they agreed Al Petrelli would play a lot of the electric guitar, kind of like traditional electric guitar stuff on the album. And Steve Howe would play steel pedal guitar and all the other weird guitar stuff. All basically most of that was an electric guitar, like Back in Town's a good track, and Steve Howe just does the acoustic intro, nothing else on it. Anyways, the album though, first one, new bassist and vocalist John Payne was it sold about as much, maybe a little less, but not much. It sold around the same as the compilation they did when they reunited Then and Now did. It sold about the same, maybe a little less. But yeah, then Carl Palmer left Asia for the ELP reunion, and Steve Howe was offered the chance to rejoin Yes after Trevor Rabin decided to leave, thinking the album he did with Yes in 1994 was his magnum opus. David Letterman wasn't even a Yes fan, but as soon as he heard the lead single from the album, The Calling, on the radio, he's like, "Holy crap, this is great! We need to get Yes in the show. We need to figure out who did this. Tell me who did this song." I'm like, "Oh, it's Yes." And okay, we need to get Yes on my show. And yeah, it was again one of my favorite albums. It was great, and so the Payne and original Asia keyboardist Jeff Downs were the only 2 guys from the Aqua. Well, and Al Petrelli too. Al Petrelli stayed for the next album. It was good. Anyways, this album they got this album represents a move to a heavier sound. Steve Howe initially part of the reason why why Yes broke up was that John Anderson and in that '79 was John Anderson and Rick Wakeman wanted to move to a more experimental and weird sound. Yet Steve Howe had wanted to move to a more hard rock kind of sound, and so he wanted to do a more straightforward hard rock band with a progressive rock kind of edge. And so that's where when he was introduced to John Wetton, whose previous super group he had worked with, UK, broke up for the fact that John Wetton wanted to do more progressive tracks than the band's other founding member Alan Holdsworth wanted to do not Alan Holdsworth Eddie Jobson wanted to do more like progressive, long instrumental type stuff. And Terry Bozzio was indifferent. So John Wetton's like, okay, fine, I'll go form another super group. And that's when Asia happened, and like when Asia first debuted, like the A&R man who was looking after them at Geffen was saying like, okay, look at this. Like, no one can tell what the hell's going on in the album artwork. There's no song in here that'll work as a hit single. Like this music is like totally unheard of and unmarketable. This album just like a disaster, and then this album is a disaster, and like no one can read the logo, and he's talking about all this like tearing it apart. And then when Heat of the Moment came on, and became like one of the most iconic songs of the '80s. A lot of people don't realize it, but Asia basically shaped the sound of '80s rock music. Helped shape the sound of '80s rock music. And that first album was a big instrumental part of that. And the second album, which was considered like it was considered like basically like, yeah, it's the naturally more melodic follow-up. It's like the naturally more melodic, commercial-friendly follow-up to the next one. And to the first album, it makes sense. And it was a good, and the Alpha was good, but like Astra is considered this album was considered John Wetton's favorite for a little while, and when you listen to it, you can see why. John Wetton and Steve Howe, who were the two guys who formed the band to begin with, or who their songwriting partnership was basically like the basis for the band to begin with. And they had found Carl Palmer and Jeff Downes to finish the band's first lineup. And John Wetton had left because he had butted heads with Steve Howe, and so the band we need a new vocalist and bassist, and that's when Greg Lake came in. But Greg Lake said, I wasn't going to join as a full-time member just for the tour because as a favor to Carl Palmer because he's my friend. He's my friend. And then the infamous the Emerson, Lake and Palmer reunion was that him and Keith Emerson wanted to do didn't happen because of this album. Carl Palmer was busy working on this album. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And it's like, okay, we'll get another drummer. And after doing multiple auditions that didn't work out, Keith Emerson's like, hey, I know Cozy Powell. And, cool. Why don't we... cool, like heavy metal drummer Cozy Powell. I'm like, yeah, like the guy was a bit of a rival to John Bonham. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, why don't we? Why don't we get him then? And that's how Emerson, Lake and Powell formed. Which the band was just a victim of bad luck, really. They could have had it, but bad luck happened to them. Management F-ups too. Ouch. So, anyways, when Greg Lake would declare I didn't want to do it full time. I just doing it for the tour as a favor to Carl Palmer. The band's like, okay, we need to figure out our vocalist problem fast. And then they're like, well, we want John Wetton back. And Steve Howe was like, well, I don't want John Wetton back. And so John was like, I don't mind Steve. John was like, I know, I'd like to work with Steve, but the thing is, him and I are gonna fight. So the condition for him coming back was that Steve Howe be gone from the band, and that's what happened. So they were looking for a new guitarist, and to find somebody who was the problem is a lot of progressive rock guitarists were kind of wanky and weird. It's were kind of weird and twanky in their style. A lot of them have a hard time playing just straightforward rock music. And part of that's just because, that's not what they do. They like playing the more weird. They like playing more weird and out there kind of stuff. They like trying to push boundaries with their guitar playing. So it's band side why don't we? So they got a guy from a heavy metal band called Crocus, who's gone Mandy Meyer, who had gone on to do lots of power metal projects, since Asia and Crocus. Or was no? I don't think he was a member of Crocus at the time. What band was he in? Let me look. Mandy Meyer. I'm looking at Mandy Meyer now. He's a Swiss Canadian guitarist. Cobra, that was it. Yeah, Cobra he was in the heavy metal band Cobra. Then he joined Asia. Then he joined after Asia, he joined Steel and Horses, and then Ashton. Then he joined Kathmandu. Then he joined Gothard for their fourth album. Joined them again and fifth and sixth album, and left afterwards. After his 10-year stint with Gothard, he did Crocus from 2006 to I think he's still in there. And then he did his power metal supergroup Unisonic with the original guitarist and with the classic guitarist and vocalist from Halloween, and some of the guys from German metal band Pink Cream 69. And it was that's a really good group. Apparently, it's on ice now because they decided the big appeal of that group Unisonic was that it was a reunion between the original the classic Halloween guitarist and it was a reunion between the classic Halloween guitarist and the classic Halloween vocalist. And now that they're back in Halloween officially as members, it's kind of the appeal, as much as great as Unisonic was, how it was distinct, it was different from Halloween. It was still the appeal of it for most people. I would love another Unisonic album. In fact, the album was voted album of the year, and the title track from the first album was voted song of the year in Burn magazine, one of the biggest heavy metal magazines in the world. And I'd love another Unisonic album. But the point is, that was the big appeal for most people, and now that appeal is, and now they're in Halloween, which is something a lot of Halloween fans would rather prefer. It's the appeal for most people is kind of gone. And Kai Hansen, one of the guys involved, basically said the project was dead because of the Halloween reunion. Anyways, yeah, they got heavy metal guitarist Mandy Meyer here, and he brought his own this kind of crunchy. He brought this crunchier kind of guitar tone with him, and it was really cool. It was really cool to see. And this presence kind of felt on the opening track "Go," which is really good. Overall, it's not as good as the first album. Maybe not. Some might even argue not as good as the second album. But this really showed a more mature side of the band's songwriting and returned them to a bit of that progressive edge that was lost in the second album, which, according to John Wetton, was largely written by him and Jeff Downes because his songwriting partnership with Steve Howe had kind of soured, and him and Jeff Downes, near the end of writing the first album, had formed a songwriting partnership. And B, because it was they had to write it quickly because record label wanted an immediate follow-up to the big hit first album, which is still one of the best-selling albums of the '80s. It's one of those it's one of those only albums that's never gone out of print. And it's really good. It's just Asia with a hard rock edge to it. And then it's really good. Let me pull up the track listing here. I have Mandy Meyer's Wikipedia page, so I don't have to put in any effort. Here we go. Go, which is really good. That was the album's lead single. Wishing, with poor choice for a second single. That's one of the weaker songs on the album. It's a ballad type song. It's a ballad type song with a kind of do 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 do, a little bit of a weird percussion to it. I don't know, xylophone or something. And then I claim to be a drummer, and I don't know whatever the hell Carl Palmer's doing on Wishing. Voice of America is really good. Hard on Me is great, which is written solely by John Wetton. Rock and Roll Dream is great. It features the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Countdown to Zero's pretty decent like AOR track. A lot of really keyboard heavy. Love Now Till Eternity is a fine upbeat kind of lovey ballad. Uh, Too Late, written by Carl Palmer. He's really good. Robert Barry of the band Three, which is a band with him, Keith Emerson, and Carl Palmer, has said Carl Palmer may not seem like he does much, judging by how little writing credits he has across his work. But him being there, he adds some small ideas to songs that just make them all the better, and nobody knows it. Suspicion is actually like the best ballad on the album. And then After the War is like a really good, like vaguely heavy metal kind of track about a nuclear extinction. After I had gotten into Asia, I started really getting into this band. After I got into Asia, I started getting into Halloween. I really liked them, but I really liked the stuff with I noticed I really liked this first album they had done. Like back in December, early January, I found out I really liked this first album they had done with Kai Hansen, their original classic guitarist. And it was the only one where he did lead vocals. He stopped doing lead vocals and let Michael Kiske, and the band hired Michael Kiske to do the vocals from then on because he didn't because Kai Hansen thought it was too difficult to play guitar and sing live on stage. Well, I get that, like when I'm playing drums, I'm always focusing hard on the beat, so it's hard for me to concentrate the lyrics too. Don't know how Phil Collins and Kelly Keagy do it. And I got really into this band called. I got really into this band afterwards. I was looking at his further discography before he reunited with Halloween in 2016, and he's still doing it. Actually, I was looking every month or so. I haven't looked at once in April yet. He said he was planning back in the fall of 2021. He was planning a new album with. He was planning a new Gamma Ray album for 2022. He said this in June 2021. And I guess we haven't heard jack squat about that since. Yeah, I'd gotten really into them, and I'd got the first because oh man, more stuff with Kai Hansen doing lead vocals and guitar, so cool. And Ralph Sheepers really liked, and I was dreading after I listened to the third album, oh no, Ralph Sheepers is gone. What's Kai Hansen gonna sound like after a decade of not doing the lead vocals? Well, turns out he sounds better than he did when he sang them originally at Halloween. And it's just, it's just really good. And the fourth album, the first one they did with Kai Hansen singing in addition to playing guitar, it's it's considered one of their best albums. And in fact, it's considered their best album and one of the best albums of the 90s. Overall, I really dig it. It's great. Okay, let me take a sip here. Okay. And so I'd come over to my grandparents' house to work, and I listened to that's when I first listened to these first three Gamma Ray albums. I was really blown away by them. So on this first, so after the first two Gamma Ray albums, I'm in the bathroom. I just listened to the third Gamma Ray album, and I'm waiting for my brother to come pick me up so I can stay at his house for the weekend. My oldest brother, the one who sometimes tunes into my streams, and he so I'm in the bathroom. I message him. I'm like, I'll call you when I get out to the. I'll call you when I get outside the. I'll call you when I get outside the grandma and grandpa's house. Okay. So, I'm bored. I'm thinking about my this. I'm thinking about like this stupid little Marky Ramone themed voicemail I've had since I had it at the time for like 3 or 4 months. My grandma hated it, and my grandpa hated it. So I'm thinking of new voicemail ideas, and yeah, I'm doing that. I'm in the bathroom. I'm taking a duty in the bathroom, and I'm watching a video of like when was this? Oh, so I gotta make sure I gotta make sure I'm getting my dates right here. This is back in January, definitely. Okay, so David Coverdale was doing like some video where he was gonna upload like some video. Actually, I can just check on YouTube, make sure I'm getting my dates right. I was subscribed. I've been subscribed to the Whitesnake YouTube channel since I got into them. Actually in January 2020. Wow. Funny how that works out. So. Of course, these little throwaway videos never show up when you. Here we go. Okay, so it was the love songs. Okay, I was anticipating the release of the Blues album, which is a compilation of bluesy white-themed Whitesnake songs. And while I'm waiting for this to come out, I'm thinking while I was waiting for it to come out, I had decided I was going to. I decided to check out like the video and like he did on the Love Songs unboxing. And I just thought it was funny how he said like I was talking like today and I started imitating it, like doing like this haphazard like imitation of it. I'm David Coverdale and today we're going like hello, I'm David Coverdale and today we're going to be unboxing Love Songs, the new compilation by Whitesnake as part of a Red, White and Blues trilogy. White was the rock album, Red was the now, Love Songs is the red album, and the blues album will obviously be the blue one. Yeah. Well, I have been. It's just the last one they were washing a long time, so I haven't. I cleaned the bottoms of them. Clean the bottoms of them. Yeah, but like, I sometimes like forget to do the finer details for the big black ones. Mom called me in the room to show me some schmutz on a pot that I didn't get when I should have when I washed it. So yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I said so I'm thinking of my voicemail ideas. I got the idea for eating green eggs and ham. Like, okay, I'll just read Green Eggs and Ham in its entirety. And so here I'm like I get the okay, I'm gonna do it I'm gonna do it in this really bad David Coverdale impression. And so I start going like, I'm David Coverdale. I start doing like, I'm David Coverdale, and today we're going to a White Snake, and today we're going to be reading Green Eggs and Ham. Green Eggs and Ham. And so I'm reading, and like my dad and my stepmom find like all my weird voicemails funny, but my grandparents always hated them. And it's like in March, my grandpa had called me about like potentially doing follow up to like the work I did in January, which he paid me like a cool 20 for, and promised like a cool 20 would be in it for me again had I done that, had I decided to come didn't do this, but I had actually missed his first call, and so he messages me. And so he decides to message me, and I message him. He doesn't know how to message. He decides to call me again. To call me again. I miss it. And this time he actually like left a voicemail. That's how I figured out like he wanted me to do some work for him. He always goes like, Eric, this is your granddad. Yeah, that's how he always does it. And but in the voicemail, he was telling me, he told me to call him back, so I did. And the first thing he said, like, it wasn't the first thing he wanted to talk to me about. It wasn't about like the work. It was about, he tells me, he asked me, like, Eric, who's David Coverdale, and how did you get him to do your voicemail? Now again, he's old. I wouldn't fault him for not. He's old. He was born in like. Yeah, he's old. He's in his 70s. You know, I wouldn't blame him for not knowing who David Coverdale is. So I was like, oh, he's a rock singer. He's the singer for a classic rock band called Whitesnake that sold a couple million albums. And I'm like, oh, how'd you meet him? I go, oh, it's me doing an impression. And he goes, oh, you're really good at the impression. And again, like he didn't know who David Coverdale was, so I assume he's just like saying this to be nice or like mean. Like he actually thought it was a different person at the end of the line. And I had that one for like a year until sometime in like January or February. It was in October. Yeah, October last year. I had gotten the idea to make a new one because I figured, like, okay, you know, I had that one for a long time. One second. What? Okay, so anyways, anyways, I'm doing this, and I'm thinking, I'm talking to him, and I'm thinking, like, man, was it that good? I didn't think it was good when I first did, and I don't think it's good now. I mean, it was really that good, so I started doing, so like my dad said he really liked the voicemail, my stepmom called me once, and I missed it, and then she ended up really liking the voicemail, and so I said, like, you know what, they like it, you know, why don't I just... Except my grandma. My grandma hated it. My grandma called me, and like, I mean, I missed the call, and she heard the voicemail, and she called me a few times. Like, first was, Eric, this is your grandma. I'm calling you for, I don't remember what she was calling me about, but, and then the next one, she was, like, Eric, I've tried calling you several times, and you haven't picked up, and I'm angry having to sit through your whole voicemail. If you can't just say, leave a message after the beep or something like that, you shouldn't even have a voicemail message at all. You just say nothing. If you're more interested in being a dumbass than a fine young man, I'm not gonna call you anymore. And I saved it, but I don't have been able to access it since. But I thought that was so funny. If you're more interested in being a dumbass than a fine young man, I'm not calling you anymore. Oh. So, you know, I just had to, I just thought it was great. That's right. She was calling to know if I wanted to go to like eat burgers with her and Grandpa. So, anyways, yeah, it was. So I started doing some impression everywhere, and to the point where it's like everyone got tired of it and like said it wasn't funny, so I kind of stopped doing it. It's kind of just like a hello, so it's like so I swim the so like I started. It's a bad impression. Hello, I'm David Coverdale, and today we're going to be talking about the Blues album. Naturally, this is an album collecting our blues songs, but they were remixed. We added like we're using like the swamp version of one of my favorite bluesy Whitesnake songs, Whipping a Boy Blues. We're using the swamp version, which sounds swampy. We got like harmonica. He didn't say we got like harmonica, but stuff like that. He was saying like this kind of stuff though, like oh, I really liked Whipping Boy Blues. Some of these songs are just great and near and dear to my heart. Blues is very much a part of who I am. And it was it was just a little bit of a meme among like me and my brothers and like my dad, I guess, for a little while. Eric, who's David Coverdale? And no data. Something going on here? Let me check my streaming software. No, it's in the green here. We got a consistent kbps. Okay, stream healthy again. So Eric, this is your grandfather, and this is David Coverdale. I want to know who David Coverdale is and how you got him to do the voicemail. I want to know, Anderson Bruford Wakeman, how you got him to do the voicemail. I'm breaking, like, it's not, I'm just doing like a crappy British voice now. It's not even a David Coverdale impression. Eric, this is David Coverdale, and I want to know, Anderson Bruford Wakeman, how you... I want to know, Anderson Bruford Wakeman, how you got... It's actually really funny. You know, like how Soundgarden is Jesus Christ pose? I have David Coverdale pose. Actually, David Coverdale is retiring. He said that he's retiring. I mean, like, he said like he'll still write music. He's like he's not going to go on the road anymore and tour. Whitesnake might tour without him because they've got two people in the band who are more than capable of backing vocalists in their own right, serving as backing vocalists. So that'd be nice if they still toured and stuff, even without him. I know a lot of people might go, "Oh, the Whitesnake tour that David Coverdale," and I know their newest album, Tanya O'Callaghan, said that they've talked about doing a new album after the farewell tour ended. Has said that they'll likely continue to make music and or at the very least continue in like a as a studio in the studio. I want to announce here something important. Oh, crap. I want to announce here that I'm formally relaunching Survivor Cheese Dip here soon. Already asked for suggestions for characters from some friends and family. So look out for that. I'm really looking forward to that. I was thinking on doing it today, but I'm too tired. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. Ugh. Okay, I'm just getting a little. I'm just getting too dang sleepy. I know it's like only 6. Oh, it's almost 8. My bad. No, it's like almost 8, but oh, man, 8. This is April. I guess we really are approaching summer. I get sad because I used to enjoy the freedom of summer, but now winter's my favorite time of year. I have like this existential crisis every time I think about like all the good memories I have associated with summer, and like all the friends I had, all like my friends. Thing. I used to be so associated with this role playing group. They're still active. Like most of like everybody who helped found most like the 2 people who founded it are still in there, and uh, I was like a person who joined early on. That's some new people in there too. Like just about all the classic people are all but like one of the original people are in there. Like all but like 2 of the original people like totally are like active there. Oh, 3 I guess counting myself. Yeah, I stopped being active in there. No reason. I just kind of felt like you know what you know what like these guys like whatever direction they're going in is a direction that I wouldn't. It's not suited for the kind of thing I'd like and want to do. Like they all suggested a split, and they were warned that they all suggested like doing a split between the 2 things, like the 2 things you're doing, split them into separate things. And I just decided that I wouldn't want to be a part of that because I love crossovers. Despite the fact that every time I go to AO3, I tell them to single out to exclude crossovers. I actually love crossovers. I love doing crossovers. I used to love doing crossovers so much. I made a sitcom that's just one big crossover. Okay, that's just how much I love crossovers. I'm a big crossover kind of guy. I'll sometimes see. I've looked up on YouTube like a compilation of Officer Munch from Homicide: Life on the Street and Law and Order SVU doing like crossovers into other shows like Arrested Development. So I'm huge into crossovers, and like a big part of the appeal to me was the fact that it was a crossover between 2 things I liked. Distilling them into separate things. I could get media. I could find mass media that are just these 2 things, like one of these 2 things on their own, just fine. I liked the crossover, and I'm not mad about it. Despite the passion in my voice, how impassioned I sound. I really just they're happy. They're happy now, and with the new people they have, it seems like they clearly don't. It seems like they don't miss me. They don't talk about. I've checked through things. I can still like see what's going on in there, and it doesn't. They don't talk about me. No one mention. They don't talk about me except to like mention like, oh, he's doing like a crusade or something. Like they'll mention me like every once in a while, and like one of the guys from there berated me over the NSFW police live streams I did. So that's nice. You're saying like I was doing something. What I was doing was stupid, but in reality, I was bored, needed a way to pass by the time, and delivering my own form of justice was just the way to do it. Anyways, yeah. So it seems like they're happier without me, and with like the new additions in there. I wouldn't fit in with them. I wouldn't get along with them. It seems like a close friend of mine who from there is also like not get along with them now. Like, I hope the best for her and whatever it is she does. But yeah. Also want to point out that also want to mention that like I was with these guys like from the time frame wise. I was with them from about like March 2017. Like the whole group started in like I want to point out I was in this group from February 2017 to February 2017 is when it started. I was in there from March. Yeah, March. I think it might have been April or it was March. And so I was in there from March, and in April we got basically like the four people who basically like the four like most important people in this group. Includes myself. I was a very important person in the early stages of the group. One of which of these people was Albert. You know, a lot of people might think a lot of people in my family who just like watch my live streams out of context and just like a lot of people in my family, namely my brother and like his best friend who also tunes into my streams. You know, they think of Albert, my other brother who hears like me mention Albert occasionally in passing. Think he's like some kind of my dad who like sometimes watches my streams too. You know, they all think Albert is like some kind of villain in my life, like he's some major antagonist. And like yeah, I'll be like, ooh, that Albert. But you know, it's like I don't actually like hate Albert. You know, I'm just doing it because you know, like, during 2019, which is like my last like big year. Again, like this whole split happened in November 2019. So that's so that's kind of when I just stopped doing stuff there with them. I kind of ceased activity. I shit that's I don't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, November was like when the split happened, and yeah, during 2019 that was like a great year for me. And like we all got off, and you know, like I had a big outburst over like Albert being a total jerk to me when I tried to extend an olive branch and be his friend the whole time. I was trying to be nice to him and everything, and I kept defending him, and like I kept taking his side and arguing. Like, guys, you know, like maybe you should try seeing Albert's point of view. And you know, it was like, and he gave me like a list of reasons why he hated me and like why I should never talk to him ever again. And like totally, like he ended like an F you and a middle finger emoji. But like in reality, like I was looking back on this list like only like a few days ago, okay, like more like a few weeks ago. But it doesn't hold. These reasons don't hold up. Like, oh, you were an a-hole to my best friend. And I'm like, oh, really? I was an a-hole to your best friend. When your best friend says I'm a cool little dude, called me a cool little dude, and was like friends with me on Discord, okay? Like, and we did share the occasional message for a couple months, okay? Like, you know, like I made peace with whatever beef we might have had at one point, you know. And it wasn't like a big beef either. It was just like it was just like him making fun of one of my friends in the group, and me defending them, and he made fun of me a little bit without realizing, like, you know. So but him and I made peace, you know. Once he realized like more about me, he kind of was like, oh, you know what? I kind of feel, or like, oh, you know what? Like, I probably should have. He extended the I offer. What happened? He offered to like. He apologized, and then like during my whole rampage, like my whole like outburst about the Albert thing, you know, he was like, "Bro, Albert's being a bit of a penis. Okay, just calm down. Just calm down about this." And I wasn't like I was kind of upset because I'm like, none of these reasons are hold up. What the hell? It was more like a kind of like, oh my gosh, what the hell? Like what? It was kind of anger from the fact that it's like I was trying so hard to be nice and defend him. And yet he just clearly wanted nothing to do with me. And it's just the fact, like, eventually when he said it, I'm like, hearing it, it's like, you know what, fine. And him and I made up, you know. He apologized to me, I think. I think. Yeah, it's real fine. Everything's fine now. It's all good. There's no beef with me and Albert. He's requested I stop using his likeness in Survivor Cheese Dip and the Cheese Dip Hunger Games. I can't promise that, but I did apologize to him for that. I think. No, I didn't. He told someone to tell me to stop. That's it. That's what happened. I don't think I was told about this like long after the fact. I'm like, oh, okay. That's sorry, I forgot. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my memory about this a little fuzzy. But like I depict Albert like this, kind of like in my streams and stuff, because it's because of that, and part of it's because again, like everybody was just absolutely like crapping on Albert like during 2019, which is like one of the best years of my life, and so it's kind of like, well, that was what happened during one of the best years. That was what was common during one of the best years of my life. So why not just like I don't know, like bring back a part of that in my streams, like a part of like a prominent part of a year in my life there, where I was just so happy. 2019 was the year I basically just 2018 was the year I discovered music, basically. Yeah, 2019 was when my music was when my music taste was congealing, coming together. Ugh. 20 yeah, 2017 was like my year, the year I discovered music, and like late 2018, 2019 is when my musical taste was coming together. And 2020 was the year of like finding out what I liked and didn't like, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no hard feelings between me and Albert, or at least I don't think so. If there is any, then it's all on his end. I don't hate him or anything. He's fine. Like he's like I heard he finally moved out of his parents' house, and I heard he finally moved out of his parents' house, or at least was going to. I don't know if he has, but if so, that's good for him, because that was something like they all made fun of him a lot for being like 20 something years old and still living with his parents, and like making poor financial decisions. Seems like he's really matured though, in like the last few years, so that's really nice. Uh, Still seems like he acts a little jerky, but it's. By the way, I moved into my bed now. I'm laying down in bed because I'm tired. Yeah, this is a bedtime stream, guys. That's why, like, don't you see like the stars on the? Don't you see like the stars on the sky in like the painting? Because it's the bedtime stream, despite the fact that the sun's still up. Why is the sun still up? Oh, the fact that I've become a winter person means like seeing the sun up after 8 just gives me like a crisis. The things have like a crisis, I feel like an internal crisis every time I remember like a great memory from 2019 and know like things will never be like that again. Like I miss the days of people trying to. I miss the days of like my pals trying to find like people in that RV group, like trying to come up with a fake JoJo stand for me themed around David Bowie. I miss those kind of days. And I have things seem to be going pretty well for them now, though from my understanding, like everybody, so from my understanding, like the three like main people who are working as administrators in the group now, from my understanding, and it is my understanding that they've like from what I've seen, like they're all playing like 30 something characters each, while like everyone else is like playing no more than like 7 or 8. And it's just kind of like wow. And then like some new, like I've seen 2 new people join, and just like leave or like to have to improvise because like oh we're sorry but we don't have enough student slots open. But as long as like they're happy, it's fine. I wish them all the best, and if they want to do something, I wish them all the best. They want to reach out to me, and have me come back, like have me go and back in there, and like oh no data. Oh, no. KBPS is going good. I don't see... Oh, yeah, KBPS is not great. Oh, it's good again. Oh, never mind. It's in the yellow. It's going between yellow and red. Oh, now it's green. Okay. Should be good now, I think. Okay. KUPS is normalized. Is the stream back in good health? No. Okay. I'm getting data again. If they ask me to come back and be active again, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm happy with where I am. But I'm happy with where I am right now. And, I don't seriously... I'm not like... I have other outlets for serious role playing. Yeah, I do. Yeah, serious role play. I have outlets for that, and other outlets for like my writing, and I'm still I keep myself busy with other things. I recently undertook a huge project with a friend of mine, and I mentioned that earlier. I'm still got a few days to go on. I still got like a lot of work to do on that. I'm not even 10% done. I'm like 7% done. No, I'm more like 5 or 6. I'm like 5 or 6% done. I still got a lot to do on this. So man, yesterday's just a memory. It's hard to believe. A lot of work to go on it. In fact, after I inevitably go to bed after dinner and I wake up early and do the dishes, I'm going to take a bath, and I'm going to work on it in the bath, and then I'm going to work on the computer. Then I'm going to walk my sister to school. I'm going to go back to working on it until my mom finds a reason to drag me out of bed and make me do something like rewash a pan or something. Okay. Should be better now. I changed the faster internet speed. The slower one has less connection issues, which is why I tend to use it. But the fast, I don't do anything that would require high speed internet usually. So I'm gonna walk my sister to school. I'm gonna work on my computer again until my mom finds a reason to drag me out of bed. I missed a spot on the stove or something. Now, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just too tired to keep doing this. I hope you had a Oh, actually, I want to talk about something real quick. So 3 of a perfect pair. I'm working on the next episode. I started back in February, and I haven't done. I took a break in January. I started back in February, and I took another break in March. So I took a break in March, and I reached to rework work out more full ideas for the episode I've worked out since then more full ideas. I've fleshed out some more ideas for the episode, episode 5, and now I'm working on it again. I do want to point this out. It took 13 months for the next episode 3 of A Perfect Pair to come out. Or like 12 months, I think is more accurate. So, and then I did I did 3 episodes in the span of 2 months, which was very prolific, yet involved a lot of me just doing nothing but that. And I'm not gonna be able to work on 3 of A Perfect Pair I do work best on 3 of A Perfect Pair when I'm focusing 80% of my free time to it. Sometimes 70. When I'm focusing a majority of my free time on to some, which is a large amount on to that, that's when that is when I'm work best on it. And because as I said, I've undertaken a huge project, and I've undertaken another big for a friend of mine, and before that I was undertaking a decent sized project for myself. I was undertaking a decent sized project for not necessarily myself, but just a project in general. I don't know what direction it's gonna go or what's gonna happen with it, but I've already got good headway on it. I don't know what percent I could describe myself as. It's kind of do it at my own pace. I guess I decide when it's done, kind of thing. It's done when I say it's done. And on top of that, I've already been doing a long collaboration with another friend of mine, since February. We're still doing it. Slowed down considerably, but we're happy with it right now. So we're happy about it though. So about about the thing though. So we're happy with where we're at with it, and so we're not in a rush to continue because we're still we're fine doing it slowly and surely. So I can't work. I think a perfect pair for a little while, but at least this week. Probably probably next week too. Maybe I can get started on it next week. I'm not sure, but most likely I won't get I've already started on the episode. I got a minute and a half animated. Got 1 to 2 minutes somewhere between there animated already. So I'm voice, sound effects, and everything, all that's in there. I think there's some file corruption or something that made me lose progress on it while I was working on it in February. It's made me mad. Anytime something happens, it makes me have to anytime something happens, we have to retroactively go back and re-edit or re-record and reanimate stuff. That just makes me so angry and it's the most demoralizing to me. Of things that can happen while working on it. In fact, there's several audio glitches in the episodes 3 and 4 as a result of some unknown issue with the program. The audio track was lagging behind the audio track was lagging behind the audio track was lagging behind the animation so much that was long by an entire second, and I had to in some cases even between 1 and 2 seconds. It was a lot. I didn't know what was going on. It just drove me crazy. So eventually it got to a point where I'm just I can't do this. So I had to go back and re-edit it, and it was a pain in the butt. Having re-edit all the sound effects, and even then there's some stuff I missed, the Death Star laser in episode 3. I totally that sound effect was totally botched, and I think it ruins the joke. I'm not ruin the joke. It's funny, but that makes the Death Star part of the joke not funny. The laser, the Death Star laser fires, and then you hear the sound effect. I don't know what's the cause of this. I'm really praying and hoping that while I'm making episode 5, this issue doesn't happen. I basically spent like twice the amount of time. I made episode 4 in a relatively short amount of time. I had like the first. I spent like I don't know, like maybe like three. Like I spent like an hour animating like the first, like a half hour, like 40 to 40 minutes, 5 minutes, somewhere between there, working on like the first part of it. The first like 2 minutes, I spent like I don't know another 6 hours. I spent like another like 6 hours animating like 5 to 10 minutes of it, and then I spent like 4 or 5 hours working on like 4 hours, like doing like the last third of the episode. And then I had to spend like 8 whole hours re-editing the sound, because again, like the delay was even worse with episode 4, so I just had to. So that was it. Hopefully, it won't happen in the next episode. Wish me luck in making it, and wish me luck in all my future projects here too. Uh, Data's going out in this stream. Data is really unreliable in the stream right now. I'm just gonna end it now, guys. Don't have to deal with little technical problems, and I'm tired. So, hope you all enjoyed the stream. It's almost 8:30. I'm going to go now. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.